absolutely thrilled to be here today with Liberté Chan, who, okay, got to remember all of this because it's a lot.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, KTLA here in Los Angeles, KTLA weather anchor, reporter, co-host of their new amazing show, LA Unscripted. She also has a certificate in meteorology, in broadcast journalism, a bachelor's, am I embarrassing you?
You are.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, here comes the resume.
A bachelor's in journalism and a master's in public health. And on top of all of that, she grew up here in LA and is an LA native, but grew up figure skating.
I was a competitive figure skater, both singles and pairs. I was nationally ranked when I was like 12, 13 years old. It was a big part of my childhood.
Now, how did you, tell us about your childhood here in LA and then how you got into figure skating?
Yeah. So my brothers were introduced to hockey first, and then I was the baby sister. And one day my brother was like, why don't you come out and skate? And my mom said, yeah, go, because, you know, why not? So I got on the ice, and I clearly remember just stepping on the ice, and I was scared at first, and I think I was crying. But then all of a sudden it just snapped, it just clicked. And I just started skating around by myself. And I remember my brother telling my mom, like, she's pulling me. And then after that, she threw us into lessons, and I just fell in love with it. And I just felt so good when I was out on the ice, because I could forget about everything else, and it was just fun to move my body and just fun to spin and jump and just be a kid.
Wow, it's really impressive though. I mean, it's not an easy sport, so to be nationally ranked at the age of 12 in both singles and pairs is a big accomplishment.
Looking back, it feels like that. When you're going through it, you're like, well, this is what you do, this is life. But on the flip side, I almost feel like I didn't really have like a traditional childhood. I almost feel like I missed out on a few things just because I was always skating. So I didn't go to a lot of sleepovers. I didn't go to a lot of just after school sports because I was always skating, either before school or after school. But then you have to also look at it differently and think, wow, that actually taught me so much that I carry with me today. You know, hard work, practice, just discipline.
I wanted to ask you exactly that. Because you are so accomplished, were you prior to, or was it really as a result of your success in skating, the discipline needed, that led you to get this incredible array of accomplishments within the school, within university and stuff, education?
I think I'm way highly educated, and I don't use it. I think I'm overeducated, but you know, I guess you can't be overeducated, but I think I guess my mom always kind of pushed me to excel in education and sports and everything else, and I think I probably just, I was a little soldier. I listened to whatever she said. She was a tiger mom, she's Chinese, and she, you know, kind of drilled it into me and my brothers, like, you can have anything you want, but you have to work for it. You have to practice, you have to consistently show up, you have to commit, you have to just do something 100%. And if you do, then you'll get to whatever goal you want to get to. So I think she kind of pushed me, and then I just took the ball and ran with it.
Wow, I love that. So it's a natural evolution for you.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And then why the specific studies that you chose?
I was always a very good writer, and it was sort of my therapy. It was sort of, I grew up in a household where my parents are divorced, and my biological father, I never really bonded with him, and my parents had like a pretty tough marriage. There was a lot of fighting in the household, and so I kind of used skating and sports to forget about what was going on at home. There was verbal abuse and just a lot of instability, and so I used what I could do outside of the home to kind of like heal myself and self-soothe. So the writing kind of became this escape for me. It made me feel really good, and I just poured my heart out in writing, and I wasn't a really confident child. I was really very quiet, very shy. I could perform on the ice, but the second you asked me a question, I just shut down. I couldn't even ask for water, like from the waiter when he would come by the table at a restaurant. So I had to really learn that skill of speaking in front of people or speaking to a camera, into a camera. So writing was everything to me, and journalism just felt good because I always wanted to learn, and I always would watch TV, and I would look at those beautiful women here in LA, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these women are so smart, they're so pretty, they always look put together, and they know everything. Little did I know that they were reading a teleprompter, or, I've worked all day on this report. It didn't just come naturally, you have to put in the work. But that was really interesting to me, and I thought, wow, people can just turn on TV and you can broadcast all this information to the world and really just impact the public. And so that was fascinating to me. And that's why I wanted to get into that. But I knew that I had a long way to go, just because I was very introverted and very shy. So I needed to learn that skill.
And I think probably also when you were coming up, it was still fairly male dominated.
Yeah.
So now it's, especially in LA, it's all about the girls.
Yeah. The future is female.
Definitely. Okay, so, and then meteorology. How did you decide to go from journalism into telling us all about the wonderful weather?
The weather.
The wonderful weather.
I think when I was like a teenager, I kept watching Jillian Barberie. She was a weather girl at Fox when I was growing up, and I would always look at her and like, oh my God, she's wearing the most beautiful dresses, and she's just talking about the weather, and she looks like she's having a great time, and I thought, wow, that would be really cool to do. And then I remember asking my mom, should I be like a journalist? Should I be a weather girl? And she's like, why don't you just be an anchor? But, whatever opportunity comes up, do that. And I said, okay. So I kind of put weather aside, and I just focused on journalism and then broadcast journalism, and that was, I think, probably 8 to 9 years ago. I walked into my assistant news director's office, Chris Knudsen, and she looked at me, she was trying to fill the schedule, and she looked at me and she said, have you ever thought about doing weather? And I said, funny you should ask. I haven't really practiced that skill. And she's like, well, maybe you should learn how to do that, because there might be an opportunity here, because I don't have enough weather people. Can you learn how to produce? Can you learn how to stand in front of a green screen? Why don't you try that? And so she kind of planted that seed, and then I just ran with it. I started showing up at the Weather Center at KTLA at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I sat with our producer Warren, and I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I build a show? How do I talk about the weather here in Southern California? And so he really took me under his wing, and they gave me this opportunity, and I kept showing up to Chris's office, and I would show her a little bit of tape from me trying to talk in front of a green screen, because it's a skill. It's backwards. It's like you're looking at a mirror. And she kept saying, no, I don't think you're there yet. So it took about 2-3 months to get to a point where she wanted to share the video with our news director. And then when she did, he was like, meh. And then she showed him again, maybe a month later, after I practiced a little bit more. And then he said, okay, send me that video, send me that tape. Let me take a look at it. And then one day, Vera, our weather meteorologist who works the nightly news, she got sick one day, and they're like, Liberty can do it. And so I was called back into work, and I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible. And so they kept calling me back, and then it kind of just turned into a regular job.
Well, you're very good. I think that's one of the things for anyone I ever talk to about you. Just, oh yeah, the way she does the weather forecast. It's like, it's a thing.
Well, it doesn't feel like a thing. It feels that's awesome that that's what they say, but
yeah, not all forecasters are alike,
Yeah.
You're not all born equal. I'll sit at home quite often and She's not like Liberty. She's not like Liberty.
Apparently there's like a walk, because my friends make fun of me all the time. They're like, oh, you want to do this? It's 72 here. It's 73 here. It's 75 here. And they make fun of me. But it's fun. It's fun.
So anyway, so moving along, obviously that's your career, then into yoga. Did ice skating inspire your journey?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I quit skating when I was about 14, 15. My heart wasn't in it and I wasn't improving, and it was crushing to my mom, but I just thought, you know what, I want to be a regular girl. I just want to go to school. I just want to do track and cross country and gymnastics and dance and do all that in high school. So I did, and for me, there's always been a component in my life of movement, because that's how I feel my best when I'm moving. You know, it's like therapy. And then I went to college, and when I came back home, I was really depressed, and I had all these panic attacks about the future, and I don't know, maybe you're going through this quarter life crisis when you just graduated college. And my mom said to me, she's like, well, I heard yoga helps with stress. She's like, why don't you try a yoga class? And I said, okay. Like, I wasn't doing anything. I just wanted to find a job, and no one was going to hire a 21-year-old with just a journalism degree. So I went into this class. It was in Brentwood, and right across from the Whole Foods. I don't know what's there right now, but it was like above the Chin Chin, or right next door to Chin Chin's. And I go in, and nobody's there. And Sydney, the instructor, she looks at me and she's like, all right, well, you're gonna have a private class. And I got really scared. I didn't want to feel like I couldn't do it, but she did the sun salutations, and she taught the class, and it just felt so good to be present. Like, it got me to that place that I felt, it was sort of that same feeling that I felt as a kid when I was on the ice. It got me into that zone where I wasn't thinking about the past, I wasn't thinking about the future, I was just present, and that was like a beautiful feeling to me. And I wasn't anxious, I wasn't depressed, I felt good, and I hadn't felt good in a while because I was going through this borderline crisis. So I kept showing up, and it felt exactly like skating to me. It was just a great release, and it was really self-soothing and healing, and then I kind of became addicted to yoga, and it just turned into this big love affair. And I love the way that it makes me feel, and it's such a huge part of my life. And I didn't realize that the asanas, the physical part of yoga, that's just one component of yoga. Like, there's 8 limbs of yoga, and if you kind of incorporate all that into your life is so much easier to live. Like, it teaches you how to deal with the challenges and kind of just be the eye of the storm. And whenever I feel off center in life, I go to my yoga mat, or I read maybe a sutra or just a book that, you know, some yogi wrote, and I just feel better. Something resonates with me, and it's a practice that just speaks to my soul.
Wow, I love that. Because there's discipline required with yoga, right?
Yeah.
So you thrive in an arena of discipline.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes. In skating, you learn about hard work, discipline, consistent practice, and it's the same thing with yoga. And then you ultimately end up seeing results. And I was not a good yogi. Like, I could not do a headstand, I could not do a handstand, but then you realize that yoga is not about that. It's about child's pose. That's a good pose. Tadasana, mountain pose, that's a great pose. Just sitting there and focusing on your breath, that's yoga. And that's going to make you feel better if you do that. At least it makes me feel better, and many people out there.
No, I love that. I think it's really important. But I've got to go back to the handstands.
Oh.
Because watching you put our shoes, just so incredibly inspiring. It's like art. And you pop up on your head like most people get up from a chair. It's just,
thank you.
yeah. So how long did it get for you? How much practice? I mean, what to get to that level where you can do the things you do without a wobble?
Right. I mean, every day is different. So some days you nail it. Some days you fall out of it, and it kind of is parallel with life. If my mind is racing and I'm thinking about something in the future or in the past, I usually can't, stick a handstand. But then if I focus and I get present, then it comes naturally. And it's just this sort of, just like with anything, consistent practice over time creates results. And then all of a sudden, you're in a handstand and you're holding it, and you hold it for 5 seconds one day, you hold it for 10 seconds the next day, and then it just gradually builds, just like anything. And now it's kind of an everyday thing, and I love it. I just love the feeling, and it all just comes back to being present, and moving, and I think that for me is just really healing.
No, and it's just a great, especially right now, it's really great to find those practices in life just to keep us sort of present, calm. Do you incorporate practice every morning? Do you sort of say, okay, well, I'm going to be up at whatever time because of work, you have to be up incredibly early some days.
Yeah.
Do you say, okay, but then I'm going to get in 40 minutes of yoga beforehand, and that's part of your...
When I work the morning show, I can't do anything. Usually, like before the morning show on the weekends, I'll go into the green room and I'll meditate for 5 to 10 minutes, and that's pretty much all I can fit in. And then I come home and I work out and I do some yoga. Pretty much every day I'll do yoga just because it's a part of my life. But not before the morning show. I have to wake up at 2. Like I'm up, I'm out the door. Very disciplined, very routine. It's you're counting the seconds in the morning show just to get on air. Either at 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. But if I have a day-side shift, then yes, I do it before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I always wonder with you, like, what time does she get up in the morning?
It's a little rough. It's a little rough. There's days when I get up at 2. There's days when I get up at 4, and it's all just kind of. If you do that, you just feel jet lagged the whole day. But it's not kind of. I don't know if I'm used to it. You just kind of get used to it, but your body doesn't like it.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, I always think about circadian rhythm and what time you have to go to bed.
It's a little rough.
Before, to be able to get enough hours
to
this be working and for you to look good on camera.
Well, many times I don't get enough. I'd say 90% of the time I don't get enough sleep, but I'm really trying to focus on getting enough sleep. But today I got 8 hours, 9 hours, which is a win. Like, that's huge. So I feel pretty good today, but yesterday I got maybe 6. But that's really something I need to focus on because health is very important to me, and sleep is key.
A big part of it.
Yeah.
And speaking of health, so vegan. So very proud vegan. Tell us all about areas in your life where you can incorporate it, and what made you become a vegan?
So I was in college. I gave up anything with fur or feathers. So I just was pescatarian since college. I got really sick at the dining hall, and I thought, I don't know if I want to even try the chicken at the dining hall, so then I went without it, and then when I tried to incorporate it back in over Christmas when I came home from school, I got really nauseous. So I thought, okay, my body doesn't like that, and so I'm just going to be a pescatarian. So I was pescatarian for 10, 12 years, and then about 3-4 years ago, I watched What the Health, and I thought, oh my gosh, there are fish out there, and shrimp and clams, and they have souls, and I couldn't do it. So I originally gave up meat for health reasons, and then I started to incorporate the whole animal cruelty and more spiritual stuff into my dietary habits. And it was not easy going from pescatarian to vegan, but I think a little easier than if you are carnivore and go vegan the next day. I think that's really difficult. So I don't know, for me, it was learning about different protein sources and how to incorporate that into my daily diet. Initially, I got really tired because I don't think I was eating enough stuff that I needed to be eating. But nowadays, it's really simple, And I have a great boyfriend who used to be vegan, and he's an incredible chef or cook, and so he knows how to kind of cook really great tasting vegan dishes.
Yeah, because veganism can actually be more tasty, I think, than the alternatives. It's not just a plate of vegetables.
Exactly. Exactly. Especially nowadays. There's so many alternatives.
Especially here in LA, we're
Yes.
really spoiled with
Yeah.
restaurants and,
Yeah.
you know. So, okay, now how far does it extend into fashion and beauty for you?
I am not 100%. You know, I'm dietary vegan 100%, but with fashion, you know, I drive a car, it has leather seats. I do what I can. You know, I don't beat myself up if I have a handbag that's leather. You know, if I had it, I had it. And to me, I don't get angry with people who are not vegan, like my boyfriend, my family. I'm the only vegan in my family. I'm not 100% when it comes to anything outside of my diet. But of course I would like to have things that are more plant-based, more, you know, cruelty-free, of course.
Yeah, because there's so many of those happening in the market
Yeah,
too.
and they're great products and they work just as well.
And I don't, you know, I don't buy leather anymore, but the leather pieces I have, I've got parts of my grandmother's.
Yeah,
It's better I use it than it goes in a landfill.
exactly,
you know.
exactly. If it's already there, why not use
But
it?
to me, it's also sort of that native approach to using every part of the animal.
Exactly, exactly.
You know,
If-
which is really important, especially if you talk about soul and stuff. It's like I can't even bear to think
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
that. Okay, so we want to talk about LA Unscripted really quickly.
Okay, really quickly. LA Unscripted.
Yes, tell us all about it.
So I was given this opportunity to sort of be a co-host with Dana, with Megan, and it's like a dream come true because I think many of my friends, me included, people who work in news have always wanted to host a lifestyle show. And it's sort of like on Instagram, you're sharing your likes and your passions. And for me, health is one of my passions. Wellness is one of my passions. So I was lucky enough that they said, okay, your segment is going to be called Healthy Vibes. And we want to know about how to get healthy body, mind, soul from the inside out, and your job is to find those great places here in LA, here in Southern California. So it's sort of this dream job. And I feel like I already was sharing that stuff on Instagram and my blog, but now I get to do it, and they're going to produce it and make it look amazing, and it's going to shine. And so, I don't know, it's this really fun show, and I think it's exactly what people need right now. It's sort of, we find like these hidden gems and these cool experiences here in LA, and we kind of put it and package it together in a really fun and entertaining and informational way.
No, it's super fun, and just all the different sort of things that we are already getting to learn about who's doing what in this great city that a lot of us call home. And
Yeah.
you know, I was watching the previews at the weekend, and it was sort of like, oh yeah, 2020 called, KTLA answered, and they unscripted. Here we go. Because it just brings this energy and fun and positivity and community. And finally, what's next for you?
Well, a lot of shoots with LA Unscripted. We have so many fun things coming up. I can't share exactly what we're going to do, but it's going to be amazing and super fun and hopefully entertaining, and I think people will get information that they can use. I'm almost finished with a book. I know, I kind of threw that in at the last minute. It's a book on yoga and sort of like the power of the pose, like what I've learned on the mat and how it's benefited me in life and how I've carried that off the mat. And I just want to share things that have worked for me to make my life easier and to put me more at ease. I want to share that with other people because I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm still learning, and I'm hoping to continue to learn throughout my entire life. But it's just right now, I'd like to share what I've learned thus far with everyone, and maybe it can help them because it's helped me so much.
All right, we'll just put that on the list of accomplishments along with, the website.
I
Tell
have
us
a
about
blog.
your website.
I should probably devote more time to the blog, but I'm so incredibly busy, just like all of us. But yeah, I mean, I think I'll devote a little bit more time to the blog. I would love to.
And that's Life of Liberty, correct?
Lifeofliberty.com.
Okay, .com.
And then, who knows, maybe a travel show. I'm just putting it out there. Maybe we do a travel show.
So much fun.
Wellness-centric travel show. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, I see it coming. Really.
I'm open to anything. I'm open to anything.
Liberty, thank you so, so much. It's just so wonderful to sit and talk to you today. And thank you for opening up your heart to us and sharing all about your life.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope we can chat again and talk about what else we've done in a year or two.
The book. We'll
The
be
book.
back to talk about the book.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.